Is struggling, but
there we go.
Get it to work. So we are back again. This is ReptiCart Live. I am Justin Smith and joined by Mike Houtzager again. This week we're going to talk about some ball pythons and some other cool stuff with Cary and Alex Hall of Snh Exotics. How are we all doing?
Doing great tonight. Been looking forward to it.
We enjoyed our conversation with Paul last week, and we managed to sneak him in before we had you guys scheduled. So it's a little late, but unfortunately, my work schedule doesn't allow me to be able to do things earlier on the weekends. So,
well, we were thinking about that. This is probably a good time. We were thinking about all of the nerdy people like ourselves who would be browsing, looking for snakes to buy about this time on a Saturday night anyway, because Lord knows we have.
Is this something you guys do, Cary and Alex, at night? Go online and watch videos?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm a student at UGA, and if I finish my homework or, I need a break or whatever, for probably the past, 6 or 7 years, I've been on Morph Market and, YouTube, just scrolling through and just trying to find snakes and learning and
endlessly scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Right. And, and the same thing, it's certainly not uncommon after we clean and eat a little bit to go through some genes. What would be good today? What might be good to add? So this is about the time that we would be doing that on a Saturday after cleaning. So,
wow. So just a little background, Justin, you're going to go through it, but I just found out that Cary Snh Exotics is about 5 miles away from our Winder warehouse.
Yep.
So we're in Winder, Georgia, and you guys are in Auburn, Georgia.
Right.
Yep.
Right next door to each other. And it was just by luck that you found out about us, right?
That's very true. We were using another shipper to buy, to buy the FedEx labels and boxes and whatnot like that. And when I went to ship an animal, I couldn't get to a particular FedEx drop, and so I was looking around to find a FedEx drop, and it came up. So it was very serendipitous, and it was like, oh my God, this is like almost next door to the house. So it was like perfect.
Good. Well, so SNH is in their basement, and that's where we started. Reptiles Express and Premium Crickets was in our garage. And then it just grew and grew and grew, thanks to all you guys, really. So, wow, this is kind of cool. We're getting some nice comments. I don't know what to think when a guy says, "Love you, Mike."
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
But, I mean, who is Snh Exotics?
Yeah.
Like, give us sort of the backstory as far as how you two came to partner up. And
so Cary teaches at the high school that I went to, and so then I had him he was my biology teacher when I was a freshman in high school, and ever since I was a kid, I had this strange passion for snakes and reptiles and just animals in general, and I was a huge science nerd. And then I met Cary, and we both like snakes, and we would just talk about snakes and science and all that. And then
I had one in the classroom at the time.
Yeah, and he was the first. I had a snake at my house at the time, and then he had one in the classroom. And then a couple years later, we decided to go to ReptiCon because we found out about that. Went there, and we bought the first 2 snakes together, which was a pinstripe female and a spinner blast male, and it really just took off from there. It was like add another and another, and
after that point, we didn't miss any ReptiCons, except unless there was something funky going on, like a pandemic,
Yeah.
So So we didn't miss any Repticons, and so we would always meet the same. We would talk to all of the same breeders and everything like that. And a really good friend of ours is at Repticon. A really good friend of ours is at Repticon every year, and that's who we bought those two snakes from, and we just got to be really good friends with him. And he didn't mention the fact that since Pinstripe is a dominant gene, that everything that we would have if we bred those two would be Pinstripe everything.
Mhm.
But we had a good time with it, just continuing to grow grow the collection, and then we finally decided we wanted to breed something in our collection. So
how many years back are we going now? When
Uh,
you decided to actually breed and sell?
so when we first got the first two, that was like what, 2015, let's say. And
So
why?
that's a while ago.
Oh yeah, that's a while ago.
20 years ago. Wow. Okay.
Yes, and we got them, and they were hatchlings, and and we're like, we wanted to breed them eventually, but we didn't know, we were still not super knowledgeable, didn't really know anything. And we're keeping them in tanks with red lights, and and trying to keep up the humidity was absolutely the toughest thing in the world. Yeah. And we just kind of grew and learned, and our husbandry got better, and then as we acquired more, we got a rack system, and it just kind of took off. And then we tried breeding two years ago, and we didn't get anything. And then we tried this past year, and we were able to get 2 clutches. So that was pretty awesome.
So it worked out that the first time that we tried to breed, that we didn't get anything, just because of the fact that everything probably would have been very much the same. And we had at least increased the collection, and we could choose what it was that we wanted to put together. And so we didn't end up with Pinstripe everything. We did have a lot of Pinstripe, but we not everything.
Could you guys ever see yourself making a living out of this, or is it just going to be a hobby?
Well, you never know. We certainly, want to build more. Now that's just doing nothing but breeding and selling it for the pet industry. Probably not just that, but we would like to make this much more of an open thing. We a lot about education, consulting, helping. Yeah. We take the snakes on the road, doing shows, as far as we had just started doing some various shows like the Alaschi Snake Day, and just various things like that to try to drum up, oh, hey, would you like to bring those to this bat mitzvah, or whatever. And but then COVID hit, and so that kind of dropped out. So we're hoping that in a post-COVID society that we can do more of that kind of thing. And besides teaching high school, I also teach college, and I write a lot. I write articles, and so we're hoping to do some writing too, as far as trying to put together a book, perhaps. And try to, we like to help people get to a point where their husbandry is better, and to try to get more education out into the society, so that you don't have this poor person who's going to a box pet store and buying a ball python that's a fancy ball python for $120 that they could have bought from us for $50.
Right.
And then putting it in an aquarium with with a heat lamp.
Yeah.
Do you guys struggle with humidity up there? Like, is it a little harder to maintain? Because I mean, down here, like I don't have any issues. It's rare that I have a problem with it.
During the winter, it can get a little dry. But during the spring and summer, I mean, it's all you can do to not put on a bathing suit.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's right. The snakes don't have hair, and they have frizzy hair in the summertime.
Yeah.
But during the winter, we just kind of add in a little bit more mulch, maybe mist them down more. But they tend to do good. And if we ever, if we see somebody going in the shed, then we usually like to soak them. That week that we do cleaning, and then really helps a lot. And we usually get pretty good sheds after that.
Yeah, usually a one piece. We do, in fact, on our Facebook page, we did a whole little show about our. No, we don't use a humidifier. We that's a good question though. We've been looking at one because we do have a large enclosure that we keep we have a berm in one level of it, and then we have a large female boa in the top floor, and then also in another section of it we have a large carpet, and that's probably the one where we have the most humidity issues, but we keep it monitored all the time. And we do, instead of putting a humidifier in there, we do keep large water containers in there on top of a heating element so that it evaporates.
Yeah.
In our rack system though, we hardly ever have any humidity issues. We slowly over the course of the going from summer to winter, we'll add mulch. If it's going to be really dry for a while, we might put the coconut bark in because it does hold moisture a little bit better. But then we start having to back down off of it when the weather starts to get warmer again. And during the summer, all of our snakes are on paper.
Yeah, it can be tough. I know a lot of guys out west and stuff. They struggle, and up north where they get real winters instead of the winters that, and even then, like my winter isn't nearly as severe as what y'all get up there. We don't get snow, so.
I see Justin Wallace is asking, do we have any baby berms? No, we don't. We have not branched out into breeding the berms yet. In fact, our berm is he's like 2 years old, so. He's our puppy. He likes to have his head scratched, but we don't have a female berm at this point in time. So, but at some point in time, we don't. What was it you said? Your room is not as big as your ambition.
Yeah,
our room is not as big as that ambition. We would definitely have to have a bigger space in order to breed berms. We love our berm. He's like I said, he's our puppy. Everybody has some people have a yellow lab. We have a yellow berm.
So he says, I see.
That's how it is for I have a male Brettles. I have a pair of Brettles pythons, but that male Brettles, I can't possibly part with him. He's got too much sentimental value. He's like almost like the family dog. Like my wife loves him. My daughter loves him. He's super mellow. He's big, but he's not too big. He's not like berm big or anything like that. But it's just he's one of those. He's not going anywhere. He's just so enjoyable.
Yeah, Dooley's kind of going through his teenage years. Sometimes he will throw some. As far as teenage years, as far as in like snake terms, I guess. He's just under 2, but sometimes he'll throw a little bit of a tantrum, if he doesn't get his way. But so we have to, as tough as it is, we have to. We're like, no, you can't.
Here's a question that has nothing to do with anything. Probably nobody knows the answer on this one, right?
How long do crested live?
Crested geckos. Oh, that's good.
They live a while.
Yeah.
Limey knows. Limey just got on.
I don't know what the oldest is.
I'll say hi to Allison, Limey. I miss you, man. I haven't seen you in a long time. Limey knows all about crested geckos. He just popped on. How long would you say a crested gecko lives, Limey? He'll come up with something. So I want to go back a little bit because we're having a good background here of what everybody does. But the purpose of ReptiCart, it's a joint venture between Reptiles Express and ReptiCon. And what we try to do is there's a lot of people out there that are small. Oh, here we go. You got it. Good job.
Wow. 20 plus years. Holy crap. That's like the balls with their 35 years ish.
20 plus. Thanks, Limey. So there's a lot of small people. They don't have a shopping cart. So what we did was put together something where small folks could open a store and actually somebody could go, they could order an animal, and then the shipping would be calculated. automatically, the price of the shipping, and that's the integration with Reptiles Express. So they buy the snake, they pay the 40 or 50 bucks for shipping, and then Cary or Alex would check their email and they would get a payment for the animal. Plus they would also get the Reptiles Express shipping label, and they just print it out, put it on the package, give it to us, and away you go. So I try to make it simpler. That was the purpose. And what we're doing right now is I want to do these streamcasts so that we sort of make sure that people know who you are. Because I found there's not as many shows as there used to be, and there's a lot of magic that goes on in shows where it's somebody talking to the breeder and they have a lot of questions, and that's when they buy the snake. But you can't be at a reptile show every single weekend. And Morph Market is great, and Morph Market will still be there, but you can't really talk to people. And this way we can capture the conversation, we can store it somewhere, and 1,000 people can watch it later on. So that was the whole thinking behind what we're doing here. And Justin is sort of the moderator, putting all this together. And Justin, thank you for all you're doing.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Uh-oh.
Do you want to see what? Let me see. Let me bring up my screen share here.
So Ben wants to go to Repticons where there aren't 98% all hyper.
I can't.
Come down to Florida. They got everything down there.
Yeah, that's one of the things is we like so many different kinds of snakes too.
Mm-hmm.
We love the ball pythons. Don't get me wrong. That's where we got it going, and that's where we'll continue that always. But we are looking forward to moving out into other things. Do we sell bearded dragons on? You guys want to take that with ReptiCart, because I know there's a lot of people on ReptiCart who do have.
Yeah, if you go to ReptiCart.com, you'll see some bearded dragons.
Yeah, we don't. Unfortunately, we're not really big into squamates with legs.
So now, right now, it's freezing cold out there. So we're telling. I hate to do this and say don't buy anything if you're up north, but Memphis is just shut down. We've had so many stuck packages, and we're just telling people don't ship this week or maybe next week. Hopefully in the following week, it will warm up a little bit. But if you're shipping anywhere that goes through Memphis, kind of wait a few days before things get unclogged. Hate to say that, but
it's a little hectic.
It's a lot hectic. Yeah. All right. So what are we looking at here?
So this is Cary and Alex's ReptiCart. And they have some animals to show us. I don't know which ones they brought, but we can, if you guys want to go ahead and break out whatever it is you set aside.
Sure. And we also, for everybody who's watching, if you decide you want an animal and you mention the live feed when you send us a message about it, we are going to include a shirt.
Hey.
Love shirts.
Hey, you got to wear them,
I love it.
So the first snake we have pulled out here would be a female queen spin.
The sire here was or is a spinner blast, and the mother, the dame, is a lesser blue-eyed Lucy.
It's nice.
So she's right now she's showing on ReptiCart for $440. But if you want to, anybody who's interested in buying her tonight, we'll let her go for $380.
And will that one darken up, lighten up? Like I told you guys going into it, like I'm not a big ball guy, so I'm kind of unfamiliar exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of the morphs and stuff, but
what's crazy is this morph, the queen spin. We had 4 of them from one of our clutches, and they all came out kind of different. And this one came out a lot lighter than the other ones. Her stripes, they're just a lot duller than the other
Mhm.
one. She seems to be a lot lighter in color, which I was a huge fan of. But I mean, she'll probably gain a little bit more yellow as she ages. But I think she's really going to stay, a lighter snake most of her life, and she's always going to have this white kind of lower belly.
Yeah, she's really, because it's really white.
Yeah, I love that like wash to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But just to show a difference, one of her clutch mates also who is a queen spin, but is a male queen, not a drag queen, but a male queen spin, is quite different than she. In fact, there you go.
That's beautiful.
Ooh,
You
yeah.
can see, like, how much of a difference you have from, same genes and everything, but you just have so much variation in between.
Yeah, this one was my favorite actually because I just love the bronze, the bronze striping.
Yeah, they're very clean, like right down the middle. There's like nothing going
Yeah.
on.
So let's answer this question right now, because a lot of people, for this one stream that we're doing right now, we're only selling ball pythons from SNH Exotics. And we're going to periodically feature other breeders just like this on this stream to talk about their animals. But if you go to ReptiCart, all the animals that all the breeders have put on there are for sale right now.
There you go.
So that's a queen spin. We also have right here I'm gonna get the fire, I guess.
Yeah.
We haven't long, and before we started having the weather, we just shipped 2 up to Chicago. So we were on pins and needles with that one.
Yeah.
But
We had some good weather for a week.
we actually did have some good weather for a week. We shipped it like, the gods shined on us for that one. So we have a male fire pin here.
Up a little, thanks. Yeah.
And this guy, he's got his striping is kind of reduced compared to other pinstripes out there, which I was a fan of. And the color that the fire and the pinstripe make together, it's this awesome kind of light brown color.
Yeah, almost like a pumpkin.
Yeah. Is that a male?
It is.
And we have a female too.
Yeah, we have the same morph.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it this same male?
That is that same male.
That is one. Yes. So he's on ReptiCart. He's on there for 200 tonight. We'll let him go for 180 if somebody's interested and mentions the live feed.
So they're going to have to get in touch with you directly.
Well, if they, I think they'll send, won't they, through ReptiCart, they'll send that, send an email.
They could, but if
There's
they want
also a link to your Facebook page as well.
yeah, so they're going to have to get in touch with you, like ask the owner or something like that, and then you deal directly with them. So the way ReptiCart works is they would actually order the snake, pay whatever you have listed on there for the price.
Well, what we can do then is we can go in and we can change for like the next 24 hours. We can change it.
Yeah, you could do that. You could just change the price if you want.
So, and then they can send us a message and say something about the live feed, and that way we'll know to mark that down as why we had lowered the price for that, and then include the T-shirt.
Yeah. So the big question that I'm curious about when it comes to ball pythons, being someone outside of that sort of realm, is how do you choose what you want to pair up? Like, there's so many combinations and stuff like that. It's hard to keep track of it all. Like, how do you? And this kind of ties into another question of if someone's getting into ball pythons, it's like, where do you start?
And it is quite overwhelming because there is so much variability, and when you start looking at different snakes, like it's hard to look at this guy right here and think, oh my God, is that even the same species if you don't know anything about snakes, right?
Right.
But how do you decide what to pair? Well, in the beginning, we only had certain ones that were ready, ready for breeding. And so that was kind of a practicality thing with us. But then we start to look and think, okay, what are the snakes that we like? What are the snakes that we want to make? What are the things that we would like to see? What are the things that we don't normally see at ReptiCon? One of the things that we were talking about over dinner when we were thinking about these questions was the morphs at ReptiCon seem to ride waves. Okay,
I can see that being a thing.
One year at ReptiCon, or at for like two or three ReptiCons, it's like every ball breeder, it's one particular gene, the gene du jour, and everybody has it, and everybody's got it mixed with everything else. You know, you've got your bamboo clown, your bamboo hypo, your bamboo this, your bamboo that, your spaghetti, and whatever bamboo. So it's bamboo everything. It's like, okay, I'm just looking for a banana.
Yeah, I mean, is it similar to like the banana craze, like that wave of bananas that
it did? Absolutely.
Seemingly, we're on the other side of that, but
and the thing is we've been looking for a plain banana, and that's it, with just that one gene, and we
tell her where we can get live hornworms, Rebecca. PremiumCrickets.com.
Premium Crickets.
I sell them.
There you go. We know, we've been there, we've seen them.
Yes, you have. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one.
Do we have any banana pinstripe ball? I wish we did.
Sold.
I wish we did. We've been looking for something with plain banana, nothing but banana. But you can't get it. It's like bamboo, or bamboo banana and banana clown and banana this and that and whatever else. So one of the things that we thought is,
think you get it. That's a good question. Curious.
I think because it's just, with all the breeders out there, they just want to. People try and mix them in with everything, and so you just kind of. They get lost, I think, as far as that single gene banana. And obviously people are making them, but I think it's few and far between when, you combine a banana that's got 2 or 3 other genes and then breed it to something else that's got 2 or 3 other genes. You're bound to get a banana with something else in it.
I mean, we could easily find a banana with 2 or 3 other genes in it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, like Alex was saying, one of the things that we think about a lot is we think about like regular, the regular guy going to a snake show and wanting to grab, who wants a snake, or, a kid who wants his first snake, or even an adult who wants their first snake, and they're not willing to put $500, $600, $700, $800 into a snake, and they want something that looks very visually different, but may not, that you can get for $200 or something like that. And, though a lot of those single gene snakes that are very visually different, like a pinstripe or like a banana, they get lost in there because everybody's trying to mix it with everything else. And if you put salt on everything that you're eating at dinner, it all tastes the same.
Unless you have COVID.
Yeah, and you don't taste anything.
Maybe Himalayan salt.
No idea, right?
I mean, I can see it being to a degree, like, I can get it where you have something new that pops up like the banana, and then just out of sheer curiosity, pairing it up with a bunch of different stuff just to see what comes out the other side,
Well, that the new gene du jour comes up, and somebody drops 10 grand on that one gene, and then of course what do they want to do is they put it with everything that's possible because they're trying to get their money out of it.
Yeah.
So you've been throwing around some dollar figures out there. Have you invested tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in this hobby?
I would probably say somewhere in the neighborhood of tens.
It's painful to think about.
We're probably. I mean, I
So
don't
if
know.
you're not willing to do tens of thousands, then don't do it, right?
Well, you could. It's hard to say. I would have a really hard. It would be really hard to try to figure out how much money, how much out of pocket money has gone into it, because I've just got to stop it. I've just got to stop at Home Depot and pick up a bag of mulch, or I've just got to, I'm just going to buy a bag of food for the rats while I'm at
$80 later.
Yeah, I know. So it would be difficult to say, like $1,000 later, walking out of Home Depot with wood to build enclosures. You're
and your time as well.
Well, yeah, but we invest our time and we enjoy doing it. It's definitely not, and it's a hobby right now, and it's never felt like a chore really. And that's the fun. And we're both all about learning. And I mean, we started at a spot that we know now that we want to sell to a first timer and get them started better than where we were, 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so since we're all about learning, I think it makes it easier. And we just want to learn as much as possible, and then, and put that into our craft really.
Mm-hmm. So what would you like to produce? What's your goal, say this time next year? Do you have projects?
Yeah. So we've been pairing up next season. We were trying to shoot for 3 different clutches. My favorite is going to be a GHI Mojave female to a pastel fire yellow belly male.
I can't even say that.
And so
we've gotten several visual locks on this pair.
So yeah, fingers crossed, everything goes well. But I just love, because you have a bunch of lightning genes, and then with GHI you have a darkening gene, and I just think they mold. We go on and you try and find what it's gonna make, and the morphs the possibilities, they just look really, really show stopping. They just.
Are you looking for the lighter or the darker colors?
Both.
Yeah.
Do both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, the mix, because we were looking earlier today, and you kind of have you have some lighter spots in some of these snakes, and then you have a spot that's got some really dark areas around it, and I just think that kind of that transition from light to dark in a snake, I'm always been a fan of.
But then two other things that we have going. I mean, one that's probably not so much of a project is that with our we have a blue-eyed Lucy we think that she's the most gorgeous blue-eyed Lucy that exists. But then she's ours. So and she, in fact, the queen spin is was hers, but the lost my train. But we're gonna hold back. We're holding back some of her offspring, male anyway, to breed back to hopefully get some more blue-eyed Lucies. That's not so much of a project, but one project that we kind of like to do is an albino pinstripe.
Yeah, get into the recessive, because we started out with, we have an albino female, but she's not old enough yet, and so producing the first recessive, visual recessive would be nice. Another stepping stone.
There's no end, is there?
No.
Yeah, and that's what blows my mind is is there anything that hasn't been done as far as surely there, it hasn't all been done because there's infinite combinations, and it's
there's no way. I mean,
exponentially at this point.
With biology, science in general, you never run out of questions.
That's right.
And genetics are always going to pop up. New genes are always going to pop up, and we're just scratching the surface, I think, of what's going to be possible in 10 to 20 years.
Any tips on incubating eggs? Well, first tip on incubating eggs, I would say don't waste your money buying one unless you're going to spend $1,000 or more on an incubator. Don't buy one. You can make one for a lot less that works just fine. we made the mistake of we bought a $200 incubator that never saw an egg. And it crapped out. And I'm not going to say the company, but because there are 2 or 3 companies that make the same incubator. And it's a kind that you probably would see. It's one of those companies that sells a lot of stuff at a box pet store, and they all look the same. But it crapped out before it even saw its first egg. Thankfully, yes.
Or else we
Did you make your own incubator?
We did indeed. Cooler. Here, you talk. I'll get one.
Yeah.
They got a hot box from Sea Serpents.
We because it was like kind of probably last March or so that we knew that we were going to have eggs, and we didn't have an incubator because it crapped out. We got a cooler and did some YouTube research and built our own, and it worked mighty fine, and we had all healthy eggs. And so
I've got a converted wine cooler that works. It's been working great.
You've been looking for one of those.
Yeah, we're trying to find a display refrigerator, beverage cooler that we can turn into one.
Check if you have appliance repair places around you. A lot of times they'll have some in the back because once they're broken, it's literally cheaper to buy a new one than to get one fixed. And so some of these appliance repair places will have some in the back that they can't do anything with it, and so people might.
Yeah, we'll go look there because I've been looking on OfferUp and I've been messaging people, and I just haven't gotten any feedback yet. But that's what our plan is for this. And that's going to be like our next project before eggs come. But if you got 1 or 2 clutches, the cooler and heat tape is, it's reliable. You get a thermostat. And
it worked just fine. Absolutely. And it holds moisture. It holds, of course, the eggs are not just like sitting in there, of course, they will be in containers themselves. So it worked. It worked out just fine. We had multiple coolers. We made multiple and it worked just fine.
And what do you guys cook your eggs at?
There we have the shoebox, Sterilite shoe boxes.
At what temperature for how long?
We kept them at 88
to 90.
Yeah.
For about 60 days or however long it took them to.
Okay. That's pretty standard.
Yeah. And we got that all. We just did our research, read a bunch of articles, watched a bunch of videos, read a couple books, and just tried to reciprocate it.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for. We are looking for an old freezer or fridge. We've been searching all over OfferUp, and we thought we had found one that was really going to work great for us, but it got sold before we could get to it.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace usually has a lot too.
Yeah,
I like the idea of checking.
Obviously, the ones that don't work are cheap.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't need to cool anything. It just needs we just need to slap some heat.
That's what I'm saying.
On the top
if you can find one that someone's getting rid of that doesn't work, they're practically willing to give them away because
that's
they're not
what
going to get it fixed.
Exactly.
That's what we're hoping.
But mine has the glass front too, and it's nice to be able to just take my flashlight and check on the eggs without having to open the chamber, without having to open the egg box.
Yeah.
Without having to disturb it.
We had a lot of inquiries about a plain pinstripe, and then we had a lot of inquiries about emperor pins. We sold a couple of emperors, and we only had one plain pinstripe in the whole deal. And strangely, that was one of the things that sold pretty quickly. But we had a lot of other inquiries on it even after it had sold. So
it's so odd to me that you have it's just like with hognoses. Like I have a pair of normals, and I joke that I have the rarest morph of all normals because you can't find normals anywhere. Like the morph thing it moves so fast that even those base morphs that are used to make all the other stuff they've done, like everyone sort of ignores those at a point, and no one's producing them when you still need them. And so it's strange.
Absolutely. We have two normal females that one we're not getting rid of. In fact, we're breeding her this season.
Mhm.
We're breeding her to a super stripe, and we know that we're going to have, you know, some normals out of that, and we're hoping to have some normals out of that. And then the other one is there. She was a rescue, in fact, and we have another normal who is also a rescue, who's very young, and we've kind of brought her up a little bit, and she's in really good health, and so we're getting ready to actually put her up on ReptiCart, you know, and sell her. If, you know, if somebody wants a you know, a young normal. So
I mean, maybe people are producing stuff like, you know, your standard pinstripe and pastels and stuff like that on a regular basis, but I mean, it seems like there's a very good section of that market where there's a need for that. Like, people don't want a crazy high-end expensive morph. You know, maybe they just like, I like pastels and Mojaves. Like, as far as ball morphs go, that's all I need. You know, I don't have expensive taste. So I would assume, I mean, are you guys planning on focusing on some stuff like that? That's just like,
yeah, we were talking about it earlier, and I was saying, you know, I feel like there's a niche that you know, we might try and hit, of morphs that have kind of gotten glossed over, you know, whereas, you know, clown, pied, they kind of like, you know, taken the market over, which is fine. I mean, obviously people are paving the way, but then you get combinations of, you know, several incomplete dominant genes and all those mixes that I feel like they can be just as powerful and just as, you know, effective on the color and pattern of a ball, but they just have gotten, you know, consumed into other projects.
oh, that snake right there.
yeah, he's nice.
There's a story behind that little fella.
Mm.
He's a miracle snake. When he was going to be a twin, and the twin didn't completely form, and when they hatched, that snake was half the size of all of his his clutch mates.
Yeah, I've heard that's actually really common with twins and eggs. Is, you know, the two snakes are usually a good bit smaller than the rest of the ones that were just a single animal.
Yeah, we were concerned that it was going to be. We were concerned that he wasn't going to make it. So we kind of, you know, fussed over him for a little while and made sure that he had, you know, was doing all that he could do. And
Yes.
oh yeah, we did think about that too after I said it, but we have definitely so we probably won't get any normals out of that one.
But I mean, what the point is, you know, like, we're going to get some simple gene snakes that, you know, to help start people getting off on the right foot of owning snakes and you know, getting their foot in the door of the reptile pet industry.
Yeah, so what other groups of snakes or species are you guys wanting to expand into? Because I know I mentioned colubrids, and there was a lot of excitement there. I'm a big colubrid guy.
Yeah, you know, black milk snakes, I've fallen in love with them, but I can't find, you know, I haven't been able to find anybody that sells them. It seems like they're a pretty small market for them, but I just think it's so cool to have a snake, you know, kind of transition its color from having color to going all black in a time. And then, you know, milk snakes they're pretty colorful, and I think they have some cool morphs. And then I know we kind of want to get into the boa breeding sector.
Can I ask this question? Because where did a milk snake get its name from?
A farm.
Well, I've always thought that the milk snakes got their name from the fact that they were seen, and it looked like they were drinking milk on a farm.
Some sort of odd story.
Right. Yeah. How true that is or not, I couldn't tell you. But I think that's the story. That's the way the story goes.
Well, so my parents own a 50-acre farm in Massachusetts, and I have seen milk snakes several times on that farm, and they scared the bejesus out of me because they were huge. These guys were. But I told my dad about it. He says, "Oh, that's a milk snake," and he said they got the name because they actually, with cows, would go after the milk from the cow.
That's
So
what Google is saying.
Drink milk. I don't know.
So the common name originated from a belief that snakes milked cows. That these snakes milked cows.
Okay.
Huh. Well, that kind of fits.
But it's a beautiful snake. But if you're not trained, it does look intimidating.
Yeah, some of them can be pretty big. We've looked at bull snakes as far as colubrids go, and that was something that we have considered.
Those kankakis are sweet. You guys seen the kankakis, the super dark ones?
Mm-mm.
Those are nice.
Yeah,
definitely look into those. That's probably my favorite out of the bulls, especially like those in Northern Pines are have my attention.
You guys ever go to Alabama?
No, we're actually going to be at our first ReptiCon, if not
in April.
Yeah, not April, then after over the summer.
When is the next Alabama show?
I don't think there is one right now. I mean, as far as I know there was one in Birmingham. There were two in Birmingham, but I think that got all shut down.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a little squirrely there lately, with tegu laws and stuff.
Stay tuned, Corey.
What boas are you guys wanting to get into? Like Imperator or
Imperator, and that's the I'd love for us to produce an Eclipse boa, the Motley Leopard. I just think all black snakes and all white snakes are gonna forever be big hits. And I just love like the size of a boa and being all black. I mean, it just beauty. But I think it'd be a fun project to get our feet wet in, and
Yeah, I love. We might have lost him, Mike.
Somebody got snake bit.
I used to have some dwarf species of boas that I really miss, and I regret getting rid of.
Well, I'm right down the road, but we don't have bad weather.
I'm kind of surprised. It's been raining like crazy here lately. My internet likes to go out at the first drop of water, so kind of surprised it's made it this far, because it's been a real frustration for me.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, man. I've been tempted to get some ball pythons just to sort of play around with it and see what it's all about, because I've had a handful of them in the past, but it's never been something that I've really been drawn to. But like pastels, Mojaves, there's a few that I've always liked.
What do you think about the prices? I think these are real good prices compared to what I see at shows. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not really knowing sort of where the market stands on some of them. It's like that seems fine to me.
I mean, 150 is, to me, kind of low, because usually when I go to shows, I see 450, 550, 650. I mean, they do have lower price ones, yes, but
like the ones that they were showing, I really like these. I just like that powdery blueness.
Hello,
they're back.
Hey, sorry about that.
No problem.
You can hear us?
Yeah.
You're back.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. We had a
technical difficulties.
Had a little. It happens. So yeah, we were talking about the boa morphs.
Hey, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. But where do you live? So I know. Hopefully, it's you're down in Florida. I just thought I'd throw that in. Sorry. I appreciate good comments. We work hard.
Hey, I'll shout out for you guys too, because not so much because we're buying crickets, but because of the Reptile Express part, because that was the best thing that happened to us in sliced bread. Let me tell you, it's we absolutely couldn't say enough about how friendly and helpful. In fact, it was it was somebody that I talked to there who even said, "Hey, yeah, just bring the box that you bought from those other people in, and we'll help you ship it. It's not a problem."
Yeah, and so do you drop off your boxes
We absolutely do.
at our facility? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we buy the FedEx and the FedEx labels, the boxes, and then bring the boxes back and drop them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that works better. Then you don't have to worry about
Oh yeah.
anything.
Eliminate as many things that can go wrong as possible, right?
Right. Yeah, we have a really good FedEx driver, and he takes it right. It goes from us to Athens, and then Athens, Atlanta, and out to Memphis, and boom, away it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But I am shocked. We probably are shipping, when it's good, say 3,000 animals a week, something like that. I mean,
Wow.
you guys, and what I've noticed is just during COVID, the online business tripled.
Oh yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, tripled. I mean, it didn't double; it tripled.
Well, I mean, you didn't have the shows that people could
Right.
sell a lot of their stock to. So online business, really took off. Online everything took off. Not just in animals, but
Everything.
Yeah, but I mean, having the great platforms to be able to sell and ship online, without those, then it would have been tough, no doubt.
Yeah, I saw the Imperial Reptiles was on here in the beginning, and I'm working on a project with them. Because what I find is a lot of you guys start out small, and then you get pretty big fairly quickly. To where some of you have your own Shopify website, and you get your orders that way. So I'm developing, integrating Reptiles Express into Shopify, so that you can get your 35 orders or 40 or 50 orders you get that day, pull them in, and then work them all at one time directly into Reptiles Express. So instead of copy, paste, it's just one button and you pull them all in. So hopefully I'll have that done in the next 2 weeks. So that's one thing we're working on.
Cool.
That's all Mike likes to do is just make life easier for everybody.
Hey, we're not complaining over here.
Did you guys, how many, like for instance, you guys, do you ever have like 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 animals out at one time in shipping? Or just kind of a couple a week that you're doing?
Mostly, we've never dropped off more than 2 at a time. Normally, it's we wouldn't have more than 2. We've never had more than 2 out at simultaneously.
Okay, I mean there are some that have maybe 10 or 20 out.
Yeah,
so we created this like console, so you can track everything at one time. On the top, and it's in Reptiles Express. So on the top, you have the map of the U.S. with little buttons, and then below it, all of your shipments. So you see the exact status of everything that you have out right now. So the bigger guys appreciate that.
I have to imagine. Yeah.
And Corey wants
He's getting a lychee. He wants one of them giant geckos.
Tiki geckos. He's my man. I love that tiki gecko, man.
P3 said, P3 Exotics, I haven't been to Atlanta. I need to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good breeders that come there.
I enjoyed it. That was a good show. When I was there last month, having only really been to the Charleston show, the Columbia show, the Charlotte show once or twice, Atlanta was good.
Was that your first Atlanta show?
That was.
Oh.
Well, and it's the Atlanta show. It's out here in Gwinnett, which is, that's where we are.
Right. Yep. And I had Justin stay at my house. We had
the compound.
The compound.
The compound.
Yeah.
My car was frozen over the next morning. It was like completely iced over. I just sit there for like 15 minutes and wait for my windows to thaw out.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. It was really, really cold that weekend, as I recall.
Yeah.
Who is P3 Exotics? Do you guys know?
We don't. And let's see, native corns and.
But I do love corns.
Well, as you know, in Georgia, we can't have anything.
We can't
Yeah,
have
I
them,
wish.
right? I wish.
Phenomenal snakes.
They're
Yeah.
beautiful, but
He's probably fish and wildlife guy here.
well, we have thought about getting a license from DNR so that we could have them for educational purposes. So we are considering that, so that because we think that if we take the snakes someplace to show, that it would be good to be able to show, okay, and this snake is indigenous to Georgia.
It's not a copperhead.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And
In my humble opinion, it's one of the prettiest snakes.
I mean, yeah, and they're so versatile in their colors and
Yeah.
pattern, and yeah.
we get so many calls through the warmer months.
Mhm.
You know, the inevitable, Cary, is this a poisonous snake? No, because there's no such thing as poisonous snakes, but that one's not venomous either, so leave it alone.
Good question, Corey.
That is a good question, and that's something I ask myself all the time.
You know, but I think they're growing. I've heard more and
They
more about them, I
definitely
think, in the past year or so than I have like ever. You know, and up until about a year ago, I don't think I've ever heard of them before.
They're definitely more popular now than they've ever been. I will agree
Who
with that.
sells them? Who sells them? Have you ever seen them?
Yeah,
You know, that's
there was some in Atlanta.
At ReptiCon, there's not. I've seen a couple at the Atlanta ReptiCon, but you know the colubrid breeding is just not as popular, at least at the Atlanta ReptiCon, that it is maybe elsewhere.
Yeah, the gentleman who mentioned something about 90% of the con being ball python morphs, he wasn't joking. That's at the Atlanta show. I mean, that's very true. I mean, we did buy our berm from someone that we met at the Atlanta show. And in fact, our boa also came from someone that we met at the Atlanta show. And there's another boa dealer that we're hoping to do some business with and expand that. But most of what's there are ball pythons.
Wonder why there aren't more cresties and bearded dragons.
You know, and there's a couple tables there.
There's more bearded dragon accoutrements being sold than bearded dragons, though.
That is true.
I mean, everybody's got to have the little wings, dragon wings, and little hats and everything for their bearded dragons.
You know, I may push back because I sell the crickets there, and the bugs for, and as far as I know, snakes don't eat crickets. So all of the customers that are buying the bugs, have lizards, and Atlanta, out of all the ReptiCons that we do, is the biggest one in terms of sales for us.
Yeah.
Well, and I can see that because I can see that people are buying a lot of crickets, because I know that a lot of the bearded dragon, merchandise gets sold. But what I'm saying is you don't see an awful lot of people actually selling dragons there.
You used to.
Yeah.
You used to.
But I mean, I would say that it's definitely, I think it's shifting. I do. I think I've seen more invertebrates there than I ever have before.
That's the truth.
Yeah. No, invert tables have been getting really popular.
And I mean, even geckos. Geckos. I think they're really growing in size too. At the Atlanta ReptiCon. And I do think that as more people get more knowledge about keeping snakes and geckos and stuff that's not like your balls, that there's going to be a more equal amount displayed at these shows.
Right. There are other snakes. I mean, of course, we breed ball pythons, but we want to do other things too. But there are, there definitely are other snakes. There are other reptiles. There are other like you were saying, the invertebrate tables are huge. I don't think in the last one that we were able to see that there were just tons of tarantulas.
Yeah.
and centipedes, and it's like, wow, okay.
Now that has been a real shock to me, but if you look at Reptiles Express and who is growing, guess who is number one in terms of growth rate?
Invertebrates.
It's the spider people.
Yeah.
Really?
Having been sucked into that rabbit hole in previous years, I can understand.
Yeah, they are. The tarantula folks
Freakishly addicting.
they're selling a lot of tarantulas online.
We had a Chilean rose hair who lived a long. In fact, it lived for an awfully long time, its lifespan, and then died. But it was a rescue. It was not something that I had purposely purchased. But I hadn't really decided that it was something that I want to get again. Yeah, tarantulas they're cool and everything. And, if we had one, we would totally be buying crickets from you guys for that. But that's, yeah, that's not one of those things. Anything that's got legs at all sometimes starts to creep me out, and let alone more than 4.
Yeah.
I know I've noticed the snake people are not lizard people, and the lizard people are not spider people. It's sort of like you're not all of them. You got to pick one, and that's what you are.
Yeah, there's not a lot of crossover.
There's not a lot of crossover.
Strangely, though, get this: we've talked on more than one occasion about getting involved with conservationists working to help breed, not breed so much, but to help as baby alligators are hatched, and then bringing them up through the younger years and then returning them to whatever. To me, that sounds appealing. We've talked about crocodilians like that before, and but that's not a squamate. That's a crocodilian, so it's different. Right. I like those. It's just the lizards. I'm not a big lizards for some reason, and they're reptiles, so I love them more than I would say I don't know, something else. But I just don't know that we've talked about lizards. I've heard that the lizard. You keep a monitor lizard in your house, and the monitor lizard can eat you, but my snakes can't eat you.
The problem is snakes spoil you.
What's that?
Snakes spoil you.
Spoil you.
Like I've kept lizards and stuff before too, and it's like, man, I got to feed this thing way more.
Every day.
It's like snakes. It's just
it's
a breeze.
Snakes.
Well, once a week offered. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we've talked to people about feeding and whatnot. Like, we have a couple of regular customers who snake and lizard guys. Yeah, see, they're it's so easy, to offer, and then if the snake doesn't eat it, we can just plop it back down in our, in the cage or in the tubs. And it's tough if you're offering frozen thawed and they don't eat it, because it's not like you can really freeze it back.
Right.
Right. Does that happen a lot?
With balls, I would say yes. We have some that just for some reason they go off feed for.
So usually males.
I'd say it's definitely more popular in the males. One female we have, she will eat like a horse for 6 months, and then
she will just
all of a sudden
stop.
cold turkey, and then just doesn't want anything to do with food. But she stays, big and healthy.
Yeah, she's girthy. So she for whatever reason, her normal is to eat like that. She will pound every week we offer, and with no heartache at all, and then she'll just stop for a few months, and then start back.
If you expect it and you understand that that's what happens, then ride that wave.
Well, and it took us a while as caretakers of all of them to understand and learn that they're going. You need to expect that you're going to have some feeding issues, maybe that it's not it's not bad necessarily. There are things that you can do to try and help. Change their environment a little bit, maybe increase their humidity. If they're in a rack, maybe put them in a different spot in the rack. But it just kind of comes with the hobby.
And knowing the animals is so important. Knowing your animals, and that was one thing. That's something else that we try to get across to people. Well, how often should I do this or that? Well, you've got to know your animal. Some are going to want to do this, and some are going to want to do that. And in the wild, they're opportunistic feeders. They're going to eat. When something comes along, they're hungry, And if you're feeding them like you would your dog, on a regular schedule, then they may not do that. Animals are going to do what they please. And, as long as your husbandry is good, as long as you're keeping everything about their environment good and the snake's healthy, then, and okay, Calypso is going to eat like a horse for 6 months, and then she's not going to eat for a couple of months, and then she'll do it again. You have to, that's one of those things you just have to learn about your individual snakes, your individual animals. And then we've got, several who they'll eat every couple of weeks like clockwork, and then we'll skip a week, and then we'll eat every couple of weeks, they'll eat and then they'll stop. They won't eat a week, but, they'll just kind of in cycles.
Yep.
I think that P3 Exotics said I don't know what they have. What are they doing? Isopods?
Rats, mice.
You understand that?
Isopods, so they have, it's an insect, and then rats and mice, lots of fun.
I guess that's he's working with all three. And I looked him up on Facebook, and I already was following his page. So
there you go.
Okay.
Really nice testers.
I thought he was talking about combining them all together, but no. Okay.
That would
yeah, like I don't think so.
Isopod, mouse, rat, chimera kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was more,
that'd be scary. I'd probably be running the opposite direction.
That would be kind of strange.
Okay. Wow.
Someone out there would want it.
You can bet. And then somebody would start a whole show around it.
All right, let's go back to the ReptiCart on the website and tell everybody exactly what you have for sale right now. Let's go through the whole thing.
Let me go back real quick. I wasn't prepared.
All right. Let's go to there. All right, so it looks like you've got
I'm trying to do my best Vanna White with the cursor here. I'm sorry.
Do you have 8 snakes for sale on ReptiCart?
I believe that's probably right. We've got one more that we're about to put up.
I think it's 10.
Okay.
10. Yeah.
All right, so we have 10 snakes. We have different prices. Why is one, say, $440 and another's $175? What's the difference in pricing?
The number of genes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see, one, you have a male queen spin, and then the female's higher, so the females are going to be higher. But also that female queen spin, we just thought she was a
looker.
Yeah, I mean, she was a phenomenal looking one. She's a little bit different than the others, and so it was just like, to us, we just thought that she was
worth a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. Being female and the the number of genes that she's carrying around would be, but it's the number of genes that's going to make the difference. Typically, the difference that you're going to look at in the price. With the fewer genes, the lower the price.
And then I think if you scroll down, there's a.
Sorry, I was eyeballing this.
No, you're good. You're good. There's that female fire yellow belly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's priced a little bit more just because she's just a phenomenal snake.
She is.
She eats like a hoss. She's got wonderful color. And I mean, as you can see, like she's like definitely the strongest one out of the clutch. And yeah, she really is. She's gorgeous.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to, can they see? Can the audience see the live shot right now?
Oh, do you have her up?
Yeah. Yeah. So here she is right here.
Nice.
And, I mean, she's huge, really. Born in July or hatched in July. And I mean, her colors are amazing.
Yeah, that is big for a yearling. Good God.
Yeah, I know.
A yearling.
Slams food, man. I mean, every week is Thanksgiving for her.
And it's not, she's not being power fed or anything like that.
Once a week,
and it's not even, not even a big, big meals or anything like that. But she has not missed a meal since she hatched.
And you see like just, her banding and like, she's got this light tones and some of the black bands and she just
a lot of contrast.
Yeah, and she's just an absolutely beautiful snake. And so it's like, nobody gets her. She's definitely a great holdback snake, but
yeah, no problem holding on to her.
no, no, not at all. She
No.
will make a perfect
Those
addition.
Those are the best ones to have for sale.
Oh, for sure.
she's only aggressive with food.
That's good.
And a ball python that eats, in our opinion, is like, that's a dime right there.
So yeah, that's her.
That seems like a great price to me. Wow.
Well, and again, we probably would let her go for less than that. We'll go back and change some of the prices on there right now tonight. And again, anybody who puts up that they saw it on the live feed will include a shirt. So,
what's the Emperor gene? I'm not familiar with that. What's that one all about?
So the Emperor, that's just
that's not the one we're looking at, but
no. So the Emperor is just the market name.
For that combination.
The actual genes are lesser, pinstripe, and pastel.
Okay.
And
it's a really pretty
this was a conversation that we were having at dinner tonight about the fact that we would both, given that we're both scientists, we would love to see happen in the ball python industry, and actually reptiles in general, happen as what has happened, what happened, so long ago in both biological taxonomy as well as in chemistry, and let's get some sort of a standardized way to refer to the animals.
Yeah, naming system, and to make sure that we have one name for each gene. We're not calling the same gene two different things, and that when things get labeled with these code names like Emperor, in our opinions, it'd just be better and more clairvoyant for everything to just be pastel, lesser, pinstripe or whatever.
It would help breeders, and it would help sellers. I mean, it would help breeders, and it would help buyers as well. Buyer can look at it and go, like, we have a calico, a pastel calico male that's one of our males that we're breeding with who are we? Lucy. We're breeding him with our bell this season, but that particular combination carries the moniker bubblegum, and we can't figure. No, it's a pastel calico. That's what we're going to call it, because it doesn't make any sense to call it something else.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys keep up with it all, man. Because
we don't.
Yeah, you just have to keep looking back, honestly. And once you look enough times, then I guess you kind of commit to memory.
Right. So of all the snakes that are there, every one of them is a strong eater. Every one of them is, they're all, none of them are aggressive. We've heard, we do know that there are some hatchling ball pythons that, across the board with all of it. Yes, we would love to see that. We would absolutely love to see that happen. We think it would just be better off for everybody.
I think it would advance the whole market and the industry hobby, all across, everything for invertebrates and amphibians and all reptiles.
How would you propose to go about doing that?
Great question.
Yeah, we talk about this one too.
So, honestly, I think scientific research, I think, needs to take a part in it. Like for ball pythons, just say mapping their genome and finding
knowing where everything is
and how they interact with each other, and so that a lot of the speculating and guessing and all that kind of can finally get go out the door, and we know what it's about, and then try and start like a new chapter, get a bunch of the top breeders and the most knowledgeable people, and almost have like a congress or a convention,
like it happens in chemistry and taxonomy and the sciences, and physics too, to some degree. One of the things that we were thinking is it would definitely take a partnership between the scientific community, the breeding community, and then the community as a whole. Because if you've got if you have the scientific community saying, okay, so yes, we've called this a bubble gum, but scientifically we know that it's a the pastel gene and the calico gene. So this is what we're going to refer to it as. And if there are so many breeders out there that have just massive followings on YouTube and Facebook and other forms of social media, that if enough of these bigger breeders start to use the correct language and whatnot like that, we think that the kinds of things like that would start to move in the right direction. And it certainly is going to take a huge partnership, and nothing happens ever overnight. But I think using the correct language when we're talking about the genes is an important thing. A lot of the genes, people wrongly refer to them as being co-dominant when they really aren't. They're what would be referred to in the scientific world as incompletely dominant, because the way that they're expressing themselves.
Yep.
And it's using the correct language would probably help out with what the morphs are too, because if it truly were co-dominant, it would look completely different than what people see it. And
did you say it's a difference between a common name and a scientific name?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah. And not like the common name, like human versus Homo sapien, but like when you've got these two genes, and I keep going back to this one just because it's so ridiculous, and that's the calico and pastel being referred to as a bubble gum.
Right.
Like, why? This doesn't make any sense even.
And I mean, and it's understandable, you produce something for the first time and it's cool to, put your name on it, put a label. But I think that there, should kind of be guidelines between how, what constitutes getting a new name or establishing a name.
So we're in the Wild West right now,
right? Yeah, because if you have two different people producing the same thing and they don't know it, you're going to get two different names for the same snake.
Like the lesser gene and the butter gene, which are the same gene, but you even see it listed as two separate genes in almost every market that's out there.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
How do they do it in more developed industries, like say dogs?
That's a good question.
I bet you we could learn from the way they do it, because I think that it's been a long time. It's probably well established.
Well, we were thinking about dogs too earlier, and with dogs, lineage is such an important thing, more so than with reptiles.
Yeah.
And when you've got this big full-size poodle that can trace its lineage back to the conquest of the Normans,
I'm working on a lineage project. I was talking to Justin about a little bit that deals with blockchains and things like that. So I don't. It's not developed enough to where I can talk about it intelligently. But I'm glad I heard that word lineage, because I think that's got to be part of everything. I mean, wouldn't it be ideal if there was something for every snake you produced, that the whole representation of that animal can be on a blockchain somewhere, and then when you sell that animal, you can just, through one token, just pass it on to the next person?
Well, a lot of guys in the chondro, like green tree python world, do that. Like, I have lineages for all my animals. Someone buys one. This is all like as far back as I can possibly go. They got that.
But how do you? Is that all written, or how do you access the lineage?
I have it on like a Google Drive folder.
Yes,
and then I've created the graphic myself, on Canva or whatever. And,
I'm talking about something where you don't create it; it's already created.
Right.
You just collect it or accept it.
Well, we were talking earlier, as I think like scientific research will go into it, and really trying to get the truth as far as all these genes. If one day I'd love to see something affordable develop, so that all breeders could simply take a DNA test of their hatchlings and know exactly what's in there, what's not in there, and be able to kind of like legitimize every animal that's put out there, so that there's not this pos het this or pos het that. and maybe it's got inchy, maybe it's got yellow belly.
Yeah, take all the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, and that doesn't mean that trying to like see what a certain snake has isn't it's interesting to be able to find maybe hints that the snake may be expressing that it may have inchy or yellow belly, but to be able to just know off the bat so that everything is there for the buyer and the seller would be nice. And I think it would advance the community, leaps and bounds.
I would love to see that sort of research be funded by our community.
I would too.
Yes,
and we were looking, and there's a university in Canada that was working on the piebald gene, and they found that they know what happens with it, what gene does it as far as on the genome and stuff like that. But I think that if that were to be spread throughout more universities and have more scientists working on it, that'd be huge.
What about University of Georgia?
If one day I can get a meeting with some of the higher ups, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be the place.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but then we'd also be able to see like why some of the fatalities occur when you cross things, and why certain things develop with certain genes,
and why would the homozygous version of that particular gene be lethal? I mean, is it like certain lethal genes that are homozygous with humans? What's the mechanism here?
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, like with lethal genes, breeding a jag carpet to a jag carpet, produces leucisticus, but none of them ever survive past like 24 or 48 hours. And I think they said it was due to either some sort of organ function or some sort of organs being like smaller than they're supposed to be, or bigger, or basically just causing organ failure to some extent. So it's a physical thing.
Which makes sense when we're changing, when we're mixing these particular genetic these features that are connected to their morphology, but also they're connected to other genes that are close on the same chromosome, and they've got to ride around together. So
yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see if someone did do that work. When you have animals that have the 5 gene thing going on, what's to be learned there. I mean, I'm sure my buddy Dr. Travis Wyman will chime in and be like, yeah, there's nothing to be learned. We already know what we need to know, because he's a geneticist. And so every time we talk about genes on any of the other shows, he's like, nah. So
well, but then there the thing is like getting what he knows and what maybe some other geneticists know
out to the public,
to everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And he's very forthcoming with a lot of that. Like he listens to the other shows and stuff, and he messages me almost weekly after he's listened to that episode, and he's like, explaining things to us when it's way above our level of comprehension.
Did you put his name in the chat or something so that we could? I would love to reach out.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. But last question is, where do you see ball pythons going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Well, we talked about where we would like to see it go. One of the things where we both see it going is having more of it. There are definitely more people who are involved with reptiles today than ever before. More and more people are becoming less and less afraid of reptiles, and ball pythons are a great snake to experience that. I mean, a healthy female gets to a respectable size. They can live. Yeah, we could do that. A female ball python gets to be a respectable size, and it's more and more people are learning that, hey, snakes are not like evil incarnate, and that snakes can be fun, and snakes are beautiful, and things like that.
Fan favorite.
There you go.
Yeah, and then I think we'll see a big surge in small breeders in the next few years. I think that's definitely true. Is that the hobby, more and more people are able to care for these snakes in the best way possible, and then we can reproduce them because their husbandry is good, and we know more about them, and there's just more resources out there so that people can know how to do certain things like care for them and breed rats and house them all.
Yeah, and I think just talking together like this and putting this on, online so everybody can watch us, ask questions, that's just going to increase the interest in all of these animals as well. So I agree, it's going to be much bigger. And like I said, I know what the numbers are at Reptiles Express, and when I just see that surge, what's going on online, there's just more and more and more people interested in these things.
Yeah, and I wonder if COVID had a hand in that too, because people were at home and got nothing better to do than watch Netflix and YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have no doubt. Well, and people like Brian Barczyk and paved the way as far as YouTube goes and education about ball pythons and snake keeping. And I mean, that's who I grew up watching as far as learning about breeding snakes and having snakes. I was watching him night and day as a kid. So
he definitely did a lot as far as exposure for the the hobby in the industry. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and then and guys with the ball pythons, it's it's a gateway snake.
Gateway too.
It's a gateway snake. I mean, you get a ball python, and the next thing you've got a boa, and the next thing you've got a berm, and the next thing you got a carpet, and the next time So, I mean, one of the things that we at least look at when we're looking at these is we try to help the industry by making sure that everyone who buys snakes from us knows that the relationship with us doesn't end when you get the snake and we get the money. We continuously check on all of our clients every, once a month, every other month, at least, once a week if it's somebody who just bought one. You're going to buy your first snake.
Getting their first snake tomorrow.
Congratulations. Yay. That's great.
Are you going to get from SNH Exotics? So that's the question.
There you go.
We apologize to your bank account in advance.
Free shirt. We like to make sure that all of our clients know that the relationship with us doesn't end, that they can feel free to talk to us anytime, any way that they need to about their animal. And we're going to continue to check on them as well. So we like to help the industry that way.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff stands out too. People remember that kind of thing. If they know that they can buy from somebody that's reliable and that they're going to be there if they have any questions or concerns, and they're not, intimidated to ask them anything, or, that makes a huge difference and gets you a lot of, repeat people coming back.
And I like the fact that both of you are really scientists. So you have a scientific background, very technical.
Yes.
That's fairly rare in my experience, to have that, to deal with people with that level of technical knowledge. So I think that's very helpful.
Speaking of technical knowledge, I mean, we're going to need to put her away because she's sporting what we commonly refer to in the scientific lingo as sausage butt. She looks like she's about to blow. So we're going to put her away.
All right. Well, we've been off for
watching. I've been sitting here watching and going, okay, we've got to put her away. She could go any minute.
Take your time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks a bunch. We've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Obviously, we have the links to your ReptiCart store. Facebook. Are you guys doing any YouTube or Instagram or anything like that too?
We do have our. We're on Facebook. We have our own. Our website is GeorgiaReptileGuys.com, and so they can reach us there. And then through the ReptiCart store and everything like that. So,
are you on Morph Market?
We are indeed.
Yep.
Okay.
We didn't want to mention that.
I'm good with all of it. Doesn't
Yeah,
Well,
matter.
that's because, I mean, yeah, absolutely. We're on Morph Market. In fact, I was just talking to John this afternoon, talking to him about the, you know, what a big push it is for small breeders, you know, because Morph Market absolutely leveled the playing field, you know, so that somebody could just as easily buy an animal from us as they can from, you know, somebody
Whoever, yeah.
who's pushing 1,000 snakes a day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I want to do with ReptiCart as well.
Absolutely, and we appreciate the fact it was, you know, the Michael who works at the store,
Michael Arnold.
Who introduced,
Mini Mike.
yeah, shout out, who introduced us to ReptiCart when we were in there the first time, and so it was just, I think at that point in time things were just starting to roll.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, you know, let's jump in on the ground floor here.
So yeah, it is early, ground floor. Probably not a lot of sales right now, but I believe if we stick with it and we all work together, you know, it's going to be a good place for everybody. That's my goal. So, you know, I'm sticking with it, and we'll just keep doing all of these interviews as much as we can.
Cool.
I think this was great. I really enjoyed it.
I loved it. I thought it was fun, and you know,
Yeah.
Thanks forever.
yeah, and I mean, especially for small guys like us, you know, just getting started and everything like that. It's a great opportunity for us to, you know, get ourselves out there and kind of show what we're all about. So we appreciate you all putting this on, and anybody else who's out there, it's definitely a great opportunity for them.
Well, we
Justin,
appreciate it.
Thank you very much for putting this together, Justin.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Everyone have a good evening.
Thanks. You too. We'll see ya.